Would you like to see real-time insight into data? Of course, who doesn't? With interactive dashboards that enable you to visualize your data, filter on demand, and simply click to dig deeper into underlying data. Getting to insight isn't only fun, but it's fast too. That's the power of interactive dashboards. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a basic interactive dashboard in Tableau using action filter, parameter actions, and highlight actions. So without any further delays, let's get started. Welcome back, this is Gurpreet from DataViz Canvas, and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to create a basic interactive dashboard in Tableau. For this we'll be using sample Superstore dataset, and I'll be using action filter, parameter actions, and highlight actions to achieve this. So before we dig deeper and start creating the dashboard, I want to show you the requirements for this particular dashboard. So requirement and scoping is really important before you start building any dashboard. And in this particular dashboard which we are going to build, the requirement was to show the sales by quarter and also to show the breakdown of sales by subcategories. And for each subcategory, we need to show the sales trend over time period. And the audience who will be looking at this dashboard will be an operational team who want to make sure if they are meeting their quarterly targets. So when we create any dashboard, we need to make sure we answer all the questions in the requirement and make our design according to that, and also to keep in mind which all audience will be looking into this dashboard. If we are looking at the operational team, we have to design the dashboard in that way so they can drill down into details. If we are making it for a CEO level or other reports, we will have to design the dashboard in that way. So I've already created this dashboard. Just to give you a gist of it, how it looks like. So we are showing the sales at the top by quarter. So here we are showing the quarter time series where individual can select any quarter they want. So if they want to select quarter 2 2020, they will select that, and the sales by subcategory will change, and also the number here will change. So it was 179,000 in 2018. And if we change it to 2019 quarter 4, it was 182,000. But if we go to 2020, the sales are 236 grand. And below is the subcategory chart, bar chart, which shows us the sales by subcategory. And for each subcategory, we are showing the sales number. And again, based on the selection, it changes. So you can drill down and see which subcategory is doing better in which quarter. Like in 2020 quarter 4, chairs as a subcategory was performing really well with 34 grand of sales. But if we go to 2021 quarter 3, it's phones who are doing pretty well. So that way we can see the sales by subcategory for individual quarters. And also if you want to see the trend, you can hover over into individual bars and you will see the sales trend at the bottom will be highlighted for different time period. And individual sales by different subcategory will give you the trend how they are performing. So that's the gist of what we'll be creating for this particular requirement. Dashboard will change based on the different requirements. So for this particular scenario, I will show you how to create this one. So without any further delays, let's get started. And first of all, we will create a new workbook, and in that new workbook, we'll be connecting to sample Superstore dataset. So let's simply go here and let's open a new workbook. So once the new workbook opens, we will simply connect to sample Superstore dataset. And here you go. So we have our workbook opened, and we will be now connecting to sample Superstore dataset, which is already available on Tableau by Tableau team. So we will simply go and connect to data and select sample Superstore. Once we connect sample Superstore, we will see we have a blank workbook opened, and we will first of all need to make sure we have all the fields on the left hand side. So we have dimensions and measures on the left hand side, and if you see, we have highlighted tables here. So we have 3 tables in the sample Superstore dataset, which is order, people, and return. So we need to show the sales for particular orders by order date. So first of all, we will need to create a sales sheet, worksheet. So here we need to get the total sales value. So we will simply double click the sales here and it will give us the total sales. And we can go to show me section and select text. It will give you the sales number here, which is 2.2 million. And I can go to this text mark and do the formatting and change the text font size to, let's say, 26. You can change whatever you like, and you can also select different fonts, but I will just keep it this to start with. And once we have the sales number, so this is the total sales number across all the categories, subcategories, and the time period. So we want order date as well, so I will bring the order date here, and I want it by quarters. So I will select different quarter, or I can just leave it as it is as of now. And once I create another sheet, we will bring the filters in. So we will bring the filters on these filters shelf to make sure all the filters are aligned across the sheet. So first of all, I will simply create the sheet. So we have created a sales sheet. Now we will go to another sheet and we will say sales by subcategories. And here I will bring the subcategories first into row shelf, and then I will bring the sales and I will select a bar chart. And then at the top here you will see the sort icon. I will select that and make it in the descending order. But here we can't see the number of sales. We can only see when we hover over it. But I want to show the sales number next to each bar. So I will simply go to labels and will say show mark labels. And you will see the sales number populated next to each bar. And I also want to change the formatting of the number. So I will simply click on the sales measure and go to format. And once I go to format, a pop-up window will appear here, and I will go to paint section, and with the number formatting, I will click on that, and I want to see the currency. So I will select currency, custom, and reduce the decimal places to 0. And you will see the $ appear at the starting of each of these numbers. And I can hide the X's. So I will just right click on the X's, sales X's, and uncheck show headers, because we already have that number here, right? So we have created the subcategory chart as well. Then the next one, we will create the sales trend. So for that, we will bring the order date, and we will need a continuous date field. So I will bring here. So these sections are the discrete one, and the one here are the continuous field. So I will say month here, select it here, and you will see the color of the pill change to green. If I select this one, it will change it to blue. So blue is discrete and green is continuous. So we need continuous date field here so we can show the trends. And then I will select the sales value. You will see all these sales are shown on a continuous axis, but this is for all the subcategories together. I want to see different lines for different subcategories, so I will drag subcategories into color mark, and you will see different lines appear for all these subcategories. You can do the same thing for categories if you want. You can simply bring the categories, and that will show different lines here. But for this example, we'll be using subcategories. So now we have created all these lines here, right? And I will give the name here sales trend. So we have created 3 sheets. And if we go back to our dashboard, so we have created the sales number, we have created the subcategory bar chart, we have created the sales trend. We now need to create a sales timeline by quarter. So how we can create that? So let's go to another sheet. We create another sheet, and we will simply bring the order date into column shelf, and we will change it into continuous quarter field. So we have created all the quarters. So it is from 2018 quarter 1 to 2021 quarter 4. And we want to show it in a line chart. So we are showing here in a line chart. Then I will create a placeholder field, which I will simply say minimum of 0. And then I will duplicate that placeholder field, and by clicking Control and dragging the field, or in Mac you will simply click Command and drag that field and it will create a duplicate field. So now these two fields are created. Now we click on the second one, and on the left hand side that measure will appear, and I will change this into circle. So you will see all these dots started to appear, and then I will click on this drop down and select dual axis, and you will see all these circles appear on top of that line. And then I will increase the size of the circle to make it a little bit bigger, and I will go to the first measure value and I will show mark label, and right now it is showing 0 because there is the minimum value we have selected, which is minimum value for 0, so it's not showing anything. So I will simply drag this quarter field by selecting Control or Command and bring it into the text mark, and you will see it started to appear 2018 quarter 1, quarter 2. And we will do a little bit of formatting by selecting text mark and go to alignment. I want it at the bottom and at the center, and it's still, if you see here, it's still on that circle, right? I want it to be a little bit lower. So I will go to text label and select the text and simply press enter here, and you will see now they are all aligned at the bottom of it. So whenever you select individual one, we want the other fields to be updated. But the trick is, in our previous example we had color for each selection, right? So if I show you this one, for each selection, whichever we select, the color changes to orange. So we want to do similar functionality, and by selecting this chart will represent the sales of that particular quarter. So how we can do that? So we will simply create another calculation, so which I want to create it for quarter. I want to show the quarter calculation, and the simple trick to do the calculation here is, we have already done it here, so we will simply select and drag it into the calculation, and it will automatically appear here. Otherwise we have to write this formula, date wrong quarter of order date, but this way we simply drag it into the calculation window and it will create a new calculated field. So this created a new quarter field, and now I want to create a parameter out of this field. So I will simply click on the drop down here, or right click and go to create and create a parameter. So this will create a quarter parameter based on this selection, and I want only the date. So I will select the date, and that's it. It created all the quarter, like first quarter, fourth quarter, seventh quarter, first quarter, second quarter which starts from April, then the third quarter from July, and the fourth quarter from October. So simply select that. So we have the quarters here. Now I want to create a Boolean calculated field which will simply say quarter, the calculation field we created, is equal to parameter, quarter parameter we created. So what we are trying to do here is to make the selection based on the parameter values. So if we select any particular quarter, we want the parameter value to change to that value, and we compare both those values, and if they are equal, then we select the color for that value. So I will show you in a second. So quarter color selection and select OK. And this quarter parameter, I will right click and show parameter. So right now it has selected first quarter of 2018. And the quarter color selection, the field which we have created, I will simply bring it into the color mark shelf, and you will see that is selected, right? And if I change this to this one, you will see how the color of the selection is changing. But we don't want the selection to be made based on this parameter. We want it to be dynamic. As in the dashboard I have shown you before, when I used to select individual circle, it used to change the value of the parameter. You can actually use that as well. Right click here and go to parameter, and you can select a quarter parameter. It will show you the parameters here. You can select it from here as well. It will do the same job, but I don't want it that way. I want it to be more interactive and user friendly just by the selection or the clicking on the chart using filter or actions. So how we can do that? So once we have created this, and I will give the name to this sheet as time series, and we have created all these 4 sheets, right? So I want now to create a dashboard. So I will go to dashboard. You can adjust the size whatever you want. So in this case I will do 1600 width and 900 pixel of height. And now I will bring sales bar by subcategory. I will bring sales trend. And if you see, when I'm dragging, it's highlighting where to put these worksheets, right? So this is because we have selected the tiled container. If you select a floating container, it will look something like this. It will be floating, and wherever you want to put it, you can put it that way. So you can try whichever way you want. So some people prefer to use tile, some people floating, so we can use either of them, whichever you prefer to use. So in this example I will show you how to use tiled one, right? So I will remove this legend, color legend for this line chart, so we get a bit more space, and I will bring the time series and bring it at the top, and I will bring the sales and bring it here, and then we can adjust it. So just drag it on the left hand side so we can get a bigger time series. And I don't want to show the axis header, so I will uncheck show header, and I will uncheck show header here as well, and I will hide the title so we can see all these quarter values in the form of circle. And I don't want to see this quarter parameter as well, or we will keep it here and we'll remove it later. I will show you how it works. So right now when we click on these one, nothing happens, right? Nothing happens here. So we have to create a couple of things. So first of all, we need to create a parameter selection. For that we will go to dashboard and select actions. Once we select action, the first action we want to do is, when we select individual values on this line time series, we want the value of the quarter parameter to change. How to do that? So we will add an action and say change parameter. Once you click on that, it will give you the option on the dashboard which sheet you want to select. So in this case, we want time series sheet to be selected. Once we click on the time series sheet, we want parameter to be updated. So in this case, we have quarter parameter. So that's our target parameter value. And we want to select the field. So we will say quarter field. And it says here, clearing this selection will keep the current value, or you can actually set the value to a particular value, whichever you want. So in this case, we will say keep the current value. All right. And we select OK. And now when we click OK, and you just see these two things. So check the value on the parameter. And when I select this one, you will see the value will change. So when I change this one, see it changed to quarter 3, which is July quarter. And if I select this 4 one, it will change to October value. So that way these filter values are changing. But the other thing, if you notice, when I select, all of the fields are faded, which I don't want. I want those colors to be as it is when I select any of these ones. So that's quite an interesting one, how to do that. So I will simply go to the sheet first and create a new calculated field, and we'll say blank field, and we will just put a quotes in there, and I will bring that blank field, the one which we have created, into the detail shelf here. And now we will go back to the dashboard and create another action filter, highlight action. And once we select the highlight action, we will go to time series, and we will again select time series in both the target sheet and the source sheet, and we will select the field which we want. And in this case, we want the blank field. Select that and click OK. So when we select any of these sheets, any of these circles, it will only select that one and it will not fade the other values of the quarter. But here you see these quarter values at the below, the text is faded. So this is because we didn't added the blank field into the detail marks on the text values. So we will add it here as well. So this is our blank field, and I will bring it into the detail mark here as well. And if we go to the dashboard, and when we select, our text value is not faded as well. So now that we have done this, we just need to put the parameter filter value in the remaining 3 sheets. So let's do this sheet first. Let's go to this sheet, and we had our quarter calculation created, color selection calculated, where we said the quarter this is equal to this, right? So that's a Boolean expression. We will go and bring it to the filter and select true, and it will give me the value 93 grand. And I can do the formatting here again. Just go to format, and under paint section, select numbers and select custom currency, and I will change it to 0 decimal places. And now we know, like, we have that filter on this shelf. A quick and easy way to apply this filter to other sheets is by selecting this drop down and apply to sheet. If we are using this filter across the entire data sources, entire dashboards, then you can select all using this data source, all the sheets using this data source. But if you want to select a particular selected worksheet, then click on selected worksheet and you can select from here. And in this case, I just want the sales by subcategory, the bar chart, to be updated, not the sales trend. So I will select this one. Click OK. And when I go back to the dashboard, you will see the numbers here. And let's say I click on quarter 2 2018. So this number changed to 86 grand, and these numbers changed as well. So now we want to see the trends by these subcategories. So right now, when I hover over these ones, nothing is changing in the lower bar chart. So we need to create another action highlight in the dashboard section. So we will simply go to dashboard drop down and select action, and in this time we will select add action to highlight the values. So we will select the source sheet, and in this case we want sales by subcategory, and in the target sheet we would need sales trend, and you can select a particular field if you want. In this case I don't mind all the fields, so we'll select all of them. And here we have 3 options: run action on hover, run action on select, or run action on menu. So if we select the select option, I'll show you what it means. So click OK, and when I hover, nothing happens. When I have to select the fonts bar, and it will highlight the bottom fonts trend. If I select chairs, it will highlight that chair trend in the bottom chart in green color. If I uncheck that, it will show me everything. So let's go back to dashboard actions and try other options. So we will click on that one, that highlight option, and let's try hover over. And when we try hover over, you will see by just moving the cursor onto individual bars, it will highlight the sales trend in the below chart. And you can see, let's say in chairs, in November 2018 there was a peak, then the similar peak was in around October, November 2021. So you can see the trends, how it's moving, right? So that's how we can create the hover over highlight section. And let's try about the menu action as well, menu highlight option. So we simply go to highlight 2 and let's select menu option and click OK. So what it means is when you hover over or when you select, it will give you highlight 2, in the tooltip. And when you click that, it will highlight that option here. So let's try tables. When we click on that bar, it will give you the highlight to option in the tooltip. Click on that and the bottom chart will highlight for tables value. So that's how we can interact with particular dashboard based on what we have created. And we don't want this quarter parameter to be shown on the right hand side. So not the container, I just don't want this one. So you will see it's expanded nicely. Now we can add few text. So like in here, I want the user to select individual quarter. So I will go to the text section object here, and I don't want tile this time, I want it floating. So I will select text and drag it here, and I will say please select the quarter, and I will align it into the center, and I will maybe increase the size to 12 and change the color, and you will see it comes here and you can just place it wherever you want. So that will give the user an understanding to select the quarter in this case. And you can expand, and also in here I want user to know that when you hover over or when you select, you can the bottom chart will drill down. So first of all, we go back to actions and change that highlight to option to hover over. So when we hover over, it will highlight the below chart. So I will bring the text object again into the floating shelf, and I will write a note here. Please select individual bar to see the trend. So that way, whoever is looking at this dashboard will see what to do. So we are not selecting, actually in this scenario we are hovering. Please hover over to an individual bar to see the trend. So that way you can place it wherever you want, and when I hover over I can see the trend. So now the dashboard is created and the operation team is really happy with the outcome, and they are all working on this dashboard to see their budgeting needs, and if they are meeting the budgets for this quarter or the next quarter or the previous quarter, how they are trending in the last couple of years. So they are really happy with the outcome. So this is how we create a basic dashboard, and this can be enhanced further based on the requirement and the question that needs to be answered. Hope you guys enjoyed this session, and please subscribe to my channel for more such videos. Thank you, and catch you next time.